Hi there everyone, my name is Koa Wilson and welcome to my University Honors Program Year-in-Review for 2025 through 2026. This year I've chosen to answer the prompt, let me read it off my computer real quick. How have you grown as a developing professional within your field or fields of interest in the past year? How have your experiences contributed to this growth? What strengths have you continued to build, and what areas would you like to develop further over the upcoming year? This prompt in particular really jumped out at me because I changed my major this year. So when I was thinking about my professional development, I was thinking about how I changed my major and how I adapted to that. Coming into my college career and into my second year, I was a marketing major on a pre-med track. And as I was taking some of those pre-med classes and also my marketing classes at the same time, I realized that I really preferred those marketing classes over those pre-med classes. Something about the business world and the creativity of marketing really appealed to me in a way that the pre-med classes didn't. But it did leave me with a little bit of a dilemma because I was taking all the pre-med classes. I had already prepared to go to medical school and do all of that track, but now I was suddenly switching to something that was very unknown, and it was super scary if I'm being completely honest. But I made the tough decision back in January to go ahead and drop that pre-med major and focus more on public health and hospital administration, which I think is something that I'm really happy with, even though it was scary in the meantime when it actually happened. As for how my experiences, pardon me, I also have some notes, so if you see me looking down at my computer, that's what I'm doing. But as I was saying, some experiences that I believe shaped me professionally were my role as an RA, and then also my role as the external vice president for a club on campus that's called Students Consulting for Nonprofit Organizations, or SCNO for short. So being an RA, this was my first year as an RA, boy is it a wild ride. It taught me so much about self-discipline and setting boundaries and communication and what a healthy professional relationship can look like, not only between me and my boss, but between me and my residents. That was super duper exciting and a little bit of a learning curve if I'm being completely honest, but it was wonderful. One specific example that I have of this is having to set boundaries with my floor, which isn't something that I've had to do in the past because it comes, I guess, a little bit naturally, or I just haven't been in a situation where I needed to set super firm boundaries. But my residents and I grew a really close, tight-knit relationship, but almost too close and too tight-knit because they would be knocking on my door really late at night or asking me for things that I had given them other resources to help with as instead of contacting me immediately, or just being a little clingy overall, which is really sweet at first, but then it can get a little bit draining because I have other responsibilities and activities to do other than just being an RA. So I had to learn how to say, hey guys, I love being your RA, I'm here to support you, but I have to support myself as well. You know, when they get on the airplane and they say, you have to put the oxygen mask over yourself before you put it over someone else, I was in that situation. And so learning how to be self-disciplined in that way and say no has been really helpful. And I think that's one of my strengths that I've grown in this year, because I would say I struggle with that sometimes, but I'm getting better. As for my role as external vice president for Students Consulting for Nonprofit Organizations, I had the opportunity to work with a lot of different people who have a lot of different communication styles and goals and expectations. And so managing those and organizing those was a really cool experience. I got to work with different nonprofits and help develop the projects that our teams work on during the semester, which was super cool because I saw firsthand how my actions would help or hurt other teams. So, for example, one of the teams that we worked with was the Cincinnati Museum Center. And when they came to us, the project that they had was very complex and pretty difficult for me to understand. But I was like, this is such a cool opportunity. Let's just go ahead and do it. And so I handed that project off to a team of students who worked directly with the Museum Center, but they really struggled because it was a very complex scope. So I saw how not vetting that process a little bit more actually ended up hurting a team, even though I thought that they'd be super excited and just thrilled to work with them. And they were, but they needed a little bit more direction on my end to help them jump right in instead of having to kind of look through the weeds for what that project truly was. I touched about one of my strengths that I worked on earlier, which is saying no. And then another one of my, or actually a weakness that I would like to continue to work on is conflict resolution. As an RA, there's tons of conflict. That's like 50% of my job, I would say, honestly. Dealing with roommate conflict between residents, conflict between me and residents. And so I definitely learned a lot about how to be a good listener when two people are in conflict, whether I'm a part of the conflict directly or not. But I would love to continue to get some more practice reps with that as I continue in my professional development. That's all I have for you today. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here, and I'll see you next year. Bye-bye. Wait, I don't know how I forgot about this, because this is arguably the most important thing that I did this year for my professional development, but I have an internship with Cincinnati Children's this summer. I don't know how that slipped my mind to mention, but I'm super excited to be working with them. I'm doing communications, which is really awesome. It's kind of my dream job, working for a hospital, but doing something on that marketing realm, that creative side. So I'm super excited about that. I start next week, and I will let you guys know how it goes. But thank you. I just wanted to mention that before hopping off. So